Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out this really cool advent calendar that just released on Amazon. You can see there are 24 days of fun according to the front of the box here, and you can also see down here we have minis because this is completely loaded with minis, and the minis that are in here are actually not really there's not that many good ones, I would say, from what I've seen on the stock images. I can't say that really for sure till I see them, but it looks like a lot of them are kind of repeats. But the fact that there are Jurassic Park gates associated with this, it was a no-brainer for me. I had to buy this, and it honestly almost hurts me to open this up because I really like the appearance to this, but I'll probably end up keeping the packaging regardless just because it looks so nice. As you can see here on the front of the box, we've got a nice snowy setting with the Jurassic World Dominion logo, and then we've got Velociraptor Blue and Velociraptor Beta, very much so looking menacing, running here straight toward us. And then if we take a look here at the back of the box, it's actually really quite large. But if we take a look here at the back of the box, you've got a fantastic image of Rexy here walking out of a wooded area with quite a few rolofus over there. And then we can actually see the silhouettes of Velociraptor Blue and Beta there off in the distance. So it almost looks like this is actually them from behind, and you can kind of make them out off in the distance. And then if you look on the front of the box, it's them coming at you, which I think is actually pretty neat. But definitely looks awesome. And just the back of the box here is incredible. Really beautiful. And you can also see up in the right hand corner, it also says we have 30 surprises inside. So let's go ahead, pop the plastic wrap off of this and start opening each one of these doors of surprises right now. So I went ahead and did something I don't often do, and that's use the old noggin. So rather than destroying the packaging and opening, I just lost somebody there, a Dimetrodon, and opening every single one of the doors and just kind of roughing up the packaging, I just opened it from the side because I don't know why that ever didn't occur to me in the first place. I don't know, I guess I'm brain dead. But I just opened up the side of the box, pulled it out, and we can see all of them now. You can also see how they're kind of, sitting within the packaging, and of course why you would be able to pull open each door and find a different surprise figure included, each day. But there's definitely actually some fun stuff in here, and the ones that I really wanted were the rolofus, because I don't think we've had that figure at all, and this ceratosaurus, because we definitely did not have it in that color scheme in a minifigure prior, and of course the beautiful looking Jurassic Park gates. But you can see everything here is sitting within a nice plastic case holding it all in, and behind that you can kind of see like an aerial view here of like the nice snowy area. You can also see some footprints of some dinosaurs. You've got small footprints, you've got larger footprints, and also some, bushes, trees, things like that. But it definitely looks really nice. Definitely also fits the area where Velociraptor Blue and Beta are found. But you can see as far as what we have included, we'll actually pull them out here one by one. First of all, we've got ourselves a Velociraptor, and you can see it's kind of got like a greenish sort of paint scheme, which looks pretty cool. We also have ourselves another Velociraptor right here. This one's more of like, actually almost like a Jurassic Park style Velociraptor. Nice brownish version. And of course, we're going to take a closer look at all of these when we are done here. We've got one that's just aching to come out. It's kind of falling out. Now I dropped it. This one's, again, another Velociraptor. So we are at 3 Velociraptors. This time looks more like a Lost World version. Then we've got ourselves a Gallimimus, a nice kind of yellowish version. Then we've got one that looks more like a Jurassic Park version of a Gallimimus. Definitely looks like a JP-style Gallimimus. We've also got ourselves the Dilophosaurus right there. Then we've also got ourselves up here, who's kind of hanging out a little awkwardly. We've got ourselves the Lystrosaurus. We also have what appears to be just like a random park worker. And now everything's falling out. We've got some instructions that just kind of tumbled out, trying to keep it standing so you guys can see what we're pulling out. Again, a little park worker. We also have ourselves the Suchomimus, and then a green baryonyx, as well as a very nice looking Parasaurolophus, one that I'm very excited about. We've also got ourselves that nice looking Ceratosaurus, then a Triceratops, as well as a pteranodon, everyone's favorite Tyrannosaurus rexy, the Ankylosaurus, the Iguanodon, the Stegosaurus, and then the Iguanodon. And then down here along the bottom, we basically have the fence to what would be our park. So we're going to go ahead, jump straight to a closer look at everything right now, including the really cool fence. Now, because there are so many figures in here, and the large majority of them seem to be the same figures we've had in the past, we're going to try to kind of run through them fairly quickly. Like, we're not going to spend so much time on them unless they are brand new figures. We'll look at them a little bit closer. But the very first one that we have here is our Ankylosaurus. And the Ankylosaurus definitely, to me, looks to be the same one that we had previously. I can't pick out anything different about this one compared to the actual, release in the regular wave of minis. It's a really nice figure. I'm always happy to have another one, but definitely nothing super crazy. You can see some nice coloration to it, again, like we had seen prior. But again, nothing to really go over with this one because we have had this one prior. Then we've got the Triceratops, and the Triceratops as well looks to be the same one that we've had previously, but it is a really beautiful looking Triceratops. In fact, I would say all of these minis are just gorgeous looking, honestly. Some of the best minis that Mattel has ever produced, if you ask me, but you can definitely see again that it sports the same color that we've had prior as far as this one goes as well. Same sculpt, same paint. Just pretty much a repack as far as this Triceratops goes. I think this one was from Wave 1 of the minis, if I'm not incorrect. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure this was a Wave 1 minifigure release. So again, nothing super amazing or special with that one. We've also got this Lost World Jurassic Park style Velociraptor, and it's not focusing on it. But we have definitely had this figure as well, but I think this one might have been kind of an exclusive figure previously anyway to that one play set that they had released. I forget which one, if it was the Mosasaurus or Giganotosaurus play set, I'm not sure, but it did have a Lost World style Velociraptor. You can see basically this one has like an orangish tone of color for the body, some brown stripes very briefly here kind of running along the back, and it also has kind of a speckling throughout, but there's nothing else really going on. In fact, we don't even have eye paint or anything on this. But just in case, actually we have a little tone of light color here on the underside very briefly as well. But this one's like a bare bones minifigure, just not really much to it. Definitely the same sculpt though as all of the other Velociraptors that are out currently when it comes to these minifigures. And to show you that, actually here is another one. But this one definitely has more of a Jurassic Park-ish type of a look, if you ask me, with a nice tone of brown. And then we have a little bit more striping on the back of this one, but you can see some like black or dark gray striping that runs along the back of the figure. Unfortunately, no eye paint or anything like that, which is a little bit of a downside. Doesn't look like we have any coloration here for the underside either. This is definitely a new figure that I haven't seen previously in the Mattel line, and it's nice to have kind of like that Jurassic Park style raptor, especially since this technically is kind of focused on Jurassic Park rather than Jurassic World, since the gates are Jurassic Park. But unfortunately, there's just not much to this one. I would have loved to have seen a little more color added to this one as like a special edition version of a Velociraptor with that Jurassic Park coloration, just because, again, it has sort of that Jurassic Park feel to this set, even though it does say Jurassic World Dominion on the actual packaging. But unfortunately, it's also kind of bare bones as far as the paintwork goes. It does have a little bit of a speckling I'm picking up on. Very slightly has like a dark gray speckling, but that's really about it for that one. We've also got kind of like a light greenish Velociraptor, so maybe replicating a Jurassic World Velociraptor. And again, very similar to the other one as far as the design goes, as we just have a little bit of striping here along the back, and then we have a greenish coloration for the majority of the figure. And there is a speckling to this one, it looks like, potentially. Like you can see a few little light white speckles here and there. No eye paint or anything yet again. No nail paint, of course. No coloration here for the underside either. So pretty cool, but nothing to write home about. Definitely not one of the stars of this set, but also sports the same exact raptor sculpt that we have seen so far on every Mattel Mini Raptor. We've also got the Dimetrodon, and this one I love. This one I recently reviewed in the minifigure set that included the mini Alan Grant, and it's definitely a very nice looking Dimetrodon. I don't think this one is any different from the other one that I'm really picking up on, but just in case, we'll go ahead and just go over basically what I see here as far as everything going on. So what this one sort of looks like a Jurassic World Dominion style Dimetrodon, but it more so has the older Mattel Dimetrodon sculpt, and you can take notice to the kind of extra sails and stuff leading out here on the end of the tail. That's something that the older one had, not the newer one, but I feel like the head sculpt sort of resembles more of that Dominion style Dimetrodon. We do have a green, like a pretty dark green tone of color for the majority of the body, a nice orange for the sail, and then you have some brown that kind of designs through the sail and then runs up here along the upper part of the back and stripes and spots there into the eye area of our Dimetrodon. No other coloration really that I'm picking up on, maybe a speckling on this one as well, but it's a beautiful looking Dimetrodon minifigure, and it's very exciting to now have this one in a different set outside of that Alan Grant set. We've also got ourselves a Gallimimus, but this Gallimimus definitely looks like the same Gallimimus that was released prior in a different set. You can see basically we have some brown stripes here running along the back, and then a yellowish body, and that's it. Like, there is next to nothing on this one. No eye paint yet again. Kind of has a speckling, but yet again another one of those really bare bones minifigures. A really cool sculpt though on it, but that as well is the same sculpt we've seen on every mini Gallimimus. And to show you that, here is the other Gallimimus that is included in this set, yet again sporting that exact same sculpt. But this time we have more of like a Jurassic Park type of a look, I think, to the coloration. Yet again, also kind of bare bones, as we just have the primary body color and then some striping here along the back. But that's really about it. Maybe a speckling. Yeah, there's like a reddish brown speckling to it, but no eye paint. I really wish they would start to apply more eye paint to the figures, because even though it's just a tiny little addition, I feel like it does at least add a little bit more of an appeal factor to the figures. No coloration on the underside or anything like that. So if they would just add eye paint, I guess it's okay to be a little bit lazier with the coloration, but eye paint I feel like is kind of a necessity. Then we've got ourselves the Suchomimus, and this one is definitely a fun figure. I think this is the same one that's out prior, I'm pretty sure, that I actually just recently reviewed. I think this one's in wave 2 of the mainline minis, but you can see that we have like a grayish brown tone of color for the body. Very nice greenish tone there that kind of runs along, starts up there on the head, runs along the majority of the body out onto the tail about halfway or nearing halfway, and we do have a speckling on this one. The sculpt looks to be the same sculpt that we used to have for the Suchomimus from Mattel, but definitely an upgraded texturing. The texturing overall looks a lot more detailed, I think, than what we used to have, and that's the same thing that I had stated in the mainline minis review of this. And you can see we also have an articulated jaw for the Suchomimus. Really cool figure. We actually do have eye paint for this one, which is a huge plus. I feel like the mainline minis, I'm pretty sure, usually do have eye paint. It's just some of these extra sets like this that end up getting gypped on eye paint. But since this is pretty much the same figure from the main line, it does get the pleasure of having eye paint. Then we've got ourselves a Dilophosaurus, and the Dilophosaurus is also the same one that we had prior. You can see we basically just have a greenish tone of color and then kind of a brown for the frill as well as the crest of the Dilophosaurus, and that is it. No coloration at all. Potentially one of the laziest paint jobs for any Mattel figure ever. Definitely for the minis, I feel like, because there's just not much of anything going on for this one. Still a really nice sculpt, and it looks to be the same sculpt previously that we used to have in the minis, but obviously shrunken down now quite a bit compared to the older one. Really beautiful sculpt, it's just really lackluster paint job. We've also got the Iguanodon, and the Iguanodon actually looks pretty nice. We have this nice yellowish green coloration for the majority of the body. Is without question the same sculpt that we've had prior. I don't know if we've had this paint variant before. I think it might have been the same one, but I'm not sure. It's been a little while since I actually had taken a look at it, but you can again see that we have the nice kind of like a light green coloration, yellowish green, and then you have a beautiful patterning here running along the back that kind of splotches and designs all over the upper side of the dinosaur all the way out onto the tail, which looks nice. And we also transition to kind of like a white there in the face, and we do have eye paint, which is actually really nicely placed. Look at that. That is impressively well done as far as the placement of those eyes, and it's a beautiful sculpt. Definitely needed a bigger thumb there, but outside of that, again, it's still a really nice looking Iguanodon, and probably one of the nicest figures in this set overall. Definitely one of the nicest paint jobs that we've seen up until this point. We also have the Ankylosaurus, which as well I believe is the exact same figure as what we had in the mainline minis. You can see we basically have a grayish tone of color for the body, an area of green here running along the back. We do have a speckling on this one, kind of like a blue-green speckling throughout, and then you do have eye paint. This figure as well is the same sculpt as the older Ankylosaurus from Mattel, but it also has been upgraded with a nice new texturing to it, which shows a lot more scale detail on this compared to the older releases of the Ankylosaurus. So it's very similar to the Suchomimus, where it's just kind of an upgraded, shrunken down version of the older minifigure, and of course with a new material that's very bendable. Pretty cool looking, just not really anything again to write home about. We've also got the Stegosaurus included in this set, and the Stegosaurus as well looks to be the same one that we've had prior. Nice orangish tone of color for the body, beautiful smooth transition to the brown there up on the plates, and you can also see some kind of like off-whites there, kind of designing and striping through the plates, as well as capturing the upper part of the tips of the plates in that same coloration. Unfortunately, that color does not run out onto the tail at all. There's no color for the thagomizers. We do have painted eyes, though. They're not looking perfectly placed. That one looks a little bit better. And we do have kind of a creamy color here for the underside. But again, this looks to be the same figure again that we had. I'm kind of trying to go over them a little bit just in case there's some differences that I didn't notice compared to the older ones, because I don't have all of the older ones out here, but this looks to me to be the same Stegosaurus as well. We've also got ourselves a pteranodon. This pteranodon sports a nice dark gray tone of color for the body, and then we have like a kind of a darker orangish, sort of a brown type tone for the skin of the wings, and then a yellow that runs up here onto the crest and then onto the upper part of the beak. The lower jaw has absolutely nothing to it. Kind of okay looking, I guess, a little lackluster, but it's also the same sculpt that we had prior in this Mattel line, and I actually think it might be the exact same pteranodon that we also had prior. It doesn't look like we have any eye paint or anything to this one, but it looks okay. It's not really my favorite figure in the world, but it's an alright version of the Mattel Mini Pteranodon. Looks potentially to be the same sculpt again that we had in the older minis, but yet again shrunken down and given an entirely new material where it can flex much nicer. So that one's okay, but nothing, again, amazing. And that seems to be the case with pretty much this entire set, as the majority of them are repacks. We've also got a baryonyx, and this baryonyx does have a beautiful light green color to it. I think this one as well was recently released in the Mattel line. We have a darker green that kind of runs here along the back, out onto the tail, and then disappears before we reach the face. It does have eye paint, and it does have a speckling to it, kind of like a blue-green speckling, but that's really about it. Again, nothing particularly amazing or new with this one. I do believe, again, that we have had this one prior in the Mattel line also. And then we've got ourselves the Lystrosaurus, and the Lystrosaurus looks really nice as well. Beautiful sculpt, but this as well looks to be the same Lystrosaurus we had in the mainline minis. I believe this is like the third one now I have of this, but it honestly is probably maybe my favorite Mattel minifigure ever. Like, it really is a fantastic looking version of this species with some nice paint. We have some nice light greens, kind of some slightly darker greens, but still light green there on the top. You also have kind of like a reddish speckling. You can see that the little tusk area here is also painted, and you can see that we also have paint on the eyes. So honestly, this is a gorgeous minifigure. I don't think I'll ever get tired of this figure because it's just so beautiful. I don't remember if it was this set that I thought there was another paint variant coming for this, or if it's the other minifigure set that's also releasing very soon, or potentially is already releasing and shipping on Big Bad Toy Store, that has a paint variant. But I'm really excited to get a different version of this, because so far we always get the same version as far as the coloration goes. It's a gorgeous looking version. I would just like something a little different, but definitely one of the best minifigures from Mattel if you ask me. And then we've got Rexy, and Rexy as well is the same coloration, same figure, actually same sculpt, everything as the previously released Tyrannosaurus from Mattel in the minifigure line. You can see this kind of like darker tone of color here running along the back, applied in almost a wash-like fashion, so you can see some of the areas of brown there kind of creeping through, and then you have this nice tone of brown for the majority of the body, and then an alternate tone of brown here on the underside, which I kind of don't remember the alternate tone of color on the underside of the others, so maybe this one is slightly different, or maybe I just did not pick up on that prior. But we also have painted eyes. Definitely a really nicely sculpted Jurassic Park style T-Rex, but again, nothing super exciting because we have had it now a few times. But finally, we are at something that I definitely can tell you is different from the previous one, though he has kind of a warped jaw, like really, really, really warped jaw. That poor thing. Definitely got to do something to try to get that back into place. I don't know if some hot water, cold water will do the trick with that or not, but He's got something going on. We do have, again, that sort of like a rorovore type of coloration that we had prior on the ceratosaurus from Mattel, as we have a nice brownish tone of color, and then we have this orangish tone that kind of stripes and designs from the upper part of the dinosaur down here through the almost the entire tail. Like you can see it run about halfway out onto the tail, which looks really nice. There's also kind of like some green eyes for our ceratosaurus. It honestly almost looks like there's green eyes and a black pupil. Let's get nice and close here. See, it really does look like it, and it looks the same over here. That would be one heck of a fine detail to add onto this figure if that is the case, but you can definitely, again, see that we have like a speckling to this one as well, and it's a gorgeous looking sculpt for the ceratosaurus. I believe this is the second time, potentially, that we had the ceratosaurus in this newer Mattel minifigure line. I'm pretty sure this one was in Wave 2 of the minis, but not this coloration. This is definitely a different coloration. Unfortunately, he's got some sort of a mutation going on, and I'll have to try to fix that, but still a really cool figure. And then we have what would potentially be the star of the show for this set, the Parasaurolophus, sporting those really nice Jurassic World Dominion colors. This one looks really nice, except for the fact that it's missing eye paint, and that's sad because there's some really nice color applied to this one, like probably one of the nicest painted minis that we've had in this set, and unfortunately no eye paint, which is really, really strange of a decision for them to make for this one. But you can see as far as the body goes, again, it's super highly detailed. We have some gorgeous detailing throughout. Of course, those extra large feet, as we always have with Mattel figures. It's down in a quadrupedal pose with the front left limb there picking up off of the ground. The right hand there's kind of planted down. And then you can see that it's just kind of making a turn. It has a slight turn to the body a little bit right there. Definitely a curve in the tail. And really, really nice looking detailing throughout. You've got lots of super nice looking skin texture, and then you have this beautiful bluish tone here running up along from the beak up there into the crest, and then that blue stripes down here runs along the back, but then starts to kind of blend with a brown, and that continues to run out here close to the tail. Then the blue stops, the brown continues, and then that stops, and we head back to that grayish tone. There is also a speckling throughout this one, kind of a dark brown speckling. And that's really about it as far as the coloration goes that I'm picking up on. I don't really notice much of anything else with it, but again, the sculpt is beautiful. Definitely a little bit of beefiness to this Parasaurolophus. And the paint job as well is really nice. I just really wish it had eye paint. But definitely an awesome minifigure. Really happy to have this one. And then we've got our other human figure for this set, but the only downside to this guy, first of all, he's a really cool looking park worker. I do like that. He's super highly detailed and has some pretty nice paint. We've got a nice orange there for his helmet. You can see we have some nice skin tone. His eyes are painted as well if it would focus on him. You can see the eyes are painted. Nice looking face and head sculpt there. You can see his ears and everything. He also has some hair, so you can see the hair is painted and sculpted. And then his outfit is also painted pretty nicely with a nice tone of blue and sculpted pretty nicely. The hands look really good. Lots of kind of creasing, very realistic, natural creasing, and, sculpting and detailing here throughout the course of his outfit. And we also have black boots for our park worker. But what is upsetting about this guy is it's the first time that we've had a mini human figure like this with zero articulation. You can see that we have nothing. Normally you can articulate the arms, the legs, the waist, all kinds of articulation on these really tiny figures, whereas this guy has nothing. So he's completely stagnant, totally in a neutral position. He looks cool, but there's just not really much of anything going on with him. Still definitely a neat figure, but there just could have been a little bit more added to him, and I feel like it wouldn't have, upped the cost of the creation of the figure all that much to just add that little bit of articulation. But he's still a pretty fun extra. Nice to have like a random park worker. And then we've got our gates. And the gates look awesome, honestly. You've got that beautiful Jurassic Park logo right there. And then you also have the flames, the torches, and everything throughout the entire gate. Very nice texturing to the outer edges of the gate, and that looks cool. You can also see that the doors for the gates themselves have that nice tone of brown to resemble the wood, and the sculpting and detailing as well is fantastic. The gates are articulated, so you can open them very nicely. So as far as a playability standpoint goes, definitely got some potential here with this, and the back of the gates as well look great. Really excited. Honestly, these gates right here are pretty much the entire reason that I wanted this set. I would say, honestly, the gates and the Ceratosaurus and Parasaurolophus are the only reason I really wanted this set, because I'm pretty sure everything else outside of the park worker is just a repeat. But Also, what is pretty cool about this set, besides the gate, is the fact that we have a ton of fence, and quite a bit of it also supports that nice Jurassic logo up there at the top of the fence. But you can see that they do give you quite a bit of it. Like, we have a number of these. I think there's like 8 of these guys here, of these pieces of the fence, so that you can connect them all together. Again, we've got some more here, and really create that very nice kind of Jurassic Park type of a park. But then there's also this little part here as well, and you can see we've got a nice door. You can actually see straight through to the other side. Unfortunately, the door doesn't open or anything, but the underside is hollow, so you can put someone in there, even the park worker himself, and he'll kind of be looking out, so it'll look like someone's in there. And as you can see, these all kind of connect and combine together to give you that really cool Jurassic Park type of a look and feel. Definitely an awesome display piece. If you are going to display your minis, this is absolutely the way to go. Really cool the fact that they've included so many dinosaurs, as well as a few dinosaurs we haven't had as far as coloration or even sculpt with the Parasaurolophus and a park worker, but also the fence and gate is awesome. And then it's very simple to kind of combine the fence and everything. You just have to basically pop these on, and there you go. Now it's connected, and you can continue to do that as you move along here. Just keep connecting them together. And then you can also kind of articulate it, so you can turn it and have it, completely circle around, or you can just extend this. And there are actually other sets that have had similar pieces to this, so if you have the other sets as well, you can continue to extend your fence or create other paddocks for your dinosaurs. So definitely a lot put into this newest line, this newest wave of minis. Like, Mattel has really gone, I think, all out for the newer minifigures, which is very, very exciting to me. Might as well just go ahead and throw these all on here. And there you go. Now we have everything put together, and then you can take all of your dinosaurs and put them within your gates and have quite the little Jurassic Park occurring over here. And which is really, really cool. Again, Mattel has not done this prior when it comes to their minifigures. Like, they've released tons of minifigures previously, but they've never put so much effort into the minifigure line, which I feel like is honestly amazing that they have done that this time, because there's so much potential with this line that they could do, because you could release so many play sets, and at the smaller size, honestly, the possibilities are endless for these minis. And, well, that guy fell over, but I really, really love the fact that there's so much, again, that they're releasing different play sets, and now all of these really cool, fences and gates and everything. Boy, there's just so many figures here. To stand them all up in here currently is not going to happen, but again, you can see how awesome it is to have all of your dinosaurs contained within, although if you were to just release them all alive like this in one area so close together, there would be carnage, but still really cool. As far as the size and everything, I don't feel like we really need to measure the dinosaurs. There's been so many minis up until this point that we already probably have a pretty good idea of the size of those guys. And I don't really think, maybe we'll do one size comparison. I don't really think we need to, but we will measure the fence in the width that it's currently in, where all the dinosaurs are contained within. You're looking at about 11 inches, or right around the, I would say, 28 centimeter range. And then for a height to the top of the gates, we'll look at here about 3 3/4 inches, or around 9.5 centimeters. So very nicely sized. We'll go ahead and do one comparison with our usual suspects. So there's Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Ankylosaurus, and Robert Muldoon here hiding behind our little Jurassic Park. And you can definitely see again that even though the minis are really quite small, the fence and everything that we have here does create a pretty good-sized diorama and display, and definitely looks awesome once actually assembled. And if the dinosaurs and everything were all standing, it would probably look a little cooler, but hopefully these figures here again will help to give you a rough idea of what the size of this set is. So this Jurassic World Dominion / Jurassic Park Advent Calendar is definitely awesome, and something that I really, really do recommend picking up for your kids, because if you have kids that are into Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, they're going to love this, especially if you actually buy this now and hold off until the holiday season, and then you actually use it when you're supposed to use the Advent Calendar. Like, they would have a blast pulling out different Jurassic World figures every single day, having no idea what dinosaur or what part of the fence or whatever you're going to get. I really feel like they would enjoy that. Pretty much anybody would enjoy something as cool as that if you are a fan of dinosaurs or Jurassic World or Jurassic Park. But even here, as far as like an adult collector goes, this thing is awesome. First of all, the packaging that we had was amazing, but once you actually open it up, I love the fact that Mattel gives you the opportunity to open it up without actually doing it, the advent calendar way by opening each one of the doors, so you can save the packaging and then you can just pull everything out. And there's a lot included in this set, especially if you haven't really purchased any of the minis prior, then you're getting an incredible value with this set. But if you have purchased some of the minis before, there's a chance you're going to get repeats, and there's a lot of repeats with this set, especially if you've been staying up to date like I have been with all of the minis, then you're going to probably have a ton of figures that you already had. Not that that's such a bad thing, because you have a lot of other figures to go with your previously purchased figures. Like, you'll have a few different of each group, which is kind of cool. But if you're into repainting, then that's definitely a plus. You can repaint a lot of them. But outside of the repeated figures, again, we have some figures that are kind of exclusive to this set, like the Jurassic Park style Velociraptor. I really do like that that one's in here. There's also that kind of like greenish Velociraptor. I don't recall seeing that one prior. We have the Parasaurolophus, which is an entirely new figure I don't remember seeing in any set prior. Really beautiful sculpt, gorgeous looking Jurassic World Dominion style paint job. And then we have the Ceratosaurus, which I don't recall having that color scheme on prior, which is really cool to have that one as well. And you have the Park Worker, which the Park Worker is a little bit of a bummer just because there's not much to him, but again, still a pretty cool little extra. And the fact that you have this awesome display with the Jurassic Park paddock fence as well as the gates and everything, like that's the icing on the cake for this set. That's the huge selling point to me, was the inclusion of those gates, and it does look awesome here. Definitely a great way to display your minifigures, there is no doubt about that. So if you are interested in picking this up, I'm going to include a link in the description to where you can purchase this, I believe on Amazon. That's where I purchased mine. I don't know if anyone else is selling it. I think Entertainment Earth potentially had it up for sale. I'll try to find any links that I can to include down in the description in case Amazon is sold out or anything like that, because it's definitely worth picking up and definitely a really cool set to grab a hold of, especially if you don't really have, very many minis prior. But very cool set. Make sure you check the links in the description. Grab this if you are interested, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.